All right, let's come back to South Africa now. The ANC's 87-member National Executive Committee has been finalized. Sihle Zigarala Mduduzi Manana and Mdumiseni Ntuli are among those at the top of that list. Controversial party members Batabile Dlamini and Andile Lungisa have also been voted in. Let's discuss this further now. We're joined by a political analyst, Dr. Ebrahim Harvey. Dr. Harvey, thank you so much for your time here on eNCA. Just firstly, let's discuss some of these names that you just heard me speak about. Your Mduduzi Manana, Andile Lungisa, your Batabile Dlamini, your David Mahlobo, Zweli Mkhize. What do you think of those names making it onto the NEC list? Especially Batabile Dlamini, who was initially told that she couldn't actually participate.
Yeah, thanks, Maseko. No, maybe Dlamini is more conspicuous when you raise this question because she had a perjury charge against her and so on. But I think the ANC was a bit scared. She indicated that she would launch a legal challenge, and then they changed their mind. But the other people that you mentioned, they have big clouds hanging over them. And if you look at the Zondo Commission of Inquiry, it's very clear. But I've said it before, and you see here again, whether you're talking about the top 7 now or the NEC members, the ANC, it's a serious problem with the political culture of they don't care too much. They don't, Nomvula is heavily implicated in what happened at when she was Water Affairs Minister. And you can see what the Zondo Commission of Inquiry reported on. That is, in fact, why, to be honest with you, I didn't think, I never bought this thing. When she was nominated for that position, I said I would rather go for Femi Potgieter. She may lack governmental experience, but far more ethically solid as far as I was concerned. But there, notwithstanding it, the branches voted for Nomvula. But it's just an indication that is the case with the ANC. Unfortunately, that is the political culture. The branches even don't care too much about whatever charges you're facing, But there are more serious questions. I will hear what you have to put to me about what has happened, like the No Alliance, COSATU, SCCP, leaders or members in that.
Yes, and I'll just come in there, of course, on that note, actually, Dr. Harvey, what do you make about, the communists basically being kicked out? Does it probably reflect the ANC members' anger or uncomfortability when it comes to how the SACP has threatened so many times during the course of this year, at least, that it would be contesting the elections on its own?
No, Maseko has got little or nothing to do with the SACP. Let me tell you what has happened here. And I very strongly suspect, I know Ramaphosa very well, I know Mantashe, and I know how they work together. The most loyalist affiliate of COSATU has been the National Union of Mine Workers. Ramaphosa can do anything, let me tell you. They will come out to support him blindly. It's a blind loyalty there. But let me tell you, the reception that Mantashe got at the COSATU Congress a little while back is beneath lies. This is the reason why. There's no doubt. Look, the NEC members, it's influenced by the outgoing NEC, but the president and the chairman of the ANC will play also a big part in that finalization of the NEC list. I think the reception, for 2 consecutive the COSATU refused Mantashe to allow it was the biggest slap in his face, I believe, in his entire political life. Betty Mantashe, the way I know him, has not forgotten it. And then we see, here comes the NEC members, nobody from COSATU. And remember that 2017, I can assure you now, Maseko, if it wasn't for the Communist Party and COSATU, Ramaphosa would not have won. Forget about the monies that he had, all that. He would not have won. They threw their weight behind him. And that is why COSATU was so disappointed. And you can see what happened with the public sector wage strike, the reneging on the 2021 last leg, where Ramaphosa to come to the defense. You think these people have been closing their eyes? He was not there. They never got their 2021 increase. They have felt, let me tell you, and accept this, bitterly disappointed with the performance of Ramaphosa, especially since they voted for him. They supported his presidency. But a lot of other things COSATU is very unhappy with. And therefore, there's been this move now that they might support the SACP to stand on its own in the 2024. I think it's got very little to do with the SACP itself. I think it's got to do with COSATU.
Yeah.
You must remember, COSATU, the massive organization, the SACP has got much less members. The strategic weight and center of the alliance is resting.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it was probably reaction to the fact that these two parties from the tripartite might actually support each other to stand on their own at some point, because they keep expressing how unhappy they are about the ANC. Dr. Harvey, I want to talk about race. The ANC saying that it wants to have a non-racial society, non-sexist, etc. And I mean, they've done well when it comes to non-sexist this time around, with the top 7 having 3 females, etc. And the fact that there's 41, I think, members out of the 80 who are female in this NEC list. But when you look at the non-racial part, they don't seem to be representing that quite well. Barbara Creasy being the only white woman or person in this particular list, and Phoebe Potgieter being the only person who is, so-called coloured, for lack of a better word. So what do you think about, their claim to be non-racial?
Yes. Here's my response to you. I knew you would possibly ask me that question. It's a very critical question. In fact, when I was interviewed by eNCA a day or two before, I raised this very question because it wasn't put to me, and yet it stood out. A lot of people have been talking about it. But Masego, this is not surprising to me. You've got to look at the history of the ANC over the past 10 to 15 years. Look at the SACP itself. The SACP was the home of non-racialism in the ANC Tripartite Alliance from 1921. The SACP has been the bastion of non-racialism in the broad national liberation movement. The new General Secretary told me last year when I interviewed him for my 2021, he said, Ebrahim, you are right, we've got a serious problem. The SACP's top 6, for the first time probably ever, Masego, does not have a so-called minority in the top 6. So what I'm trying to tell you, this is coming for a long time. I called it in 1999 already, when the ANC lost Cape Town for the second time. The emergence of a narrow Africanist majoritarian chauvinism. I've consistently spoken about that, and in fact, I coined that expression. It is at play still, but you must remember, Phoebe Potgieter belongs to the so-called colored minority, and then you've got Barbara Creasy. But it mustn't be very surprising. It is the culmination. Masego, go and look at the public meetings of the ANC, wherever they meet. Go and look at the audience carefully. Go through the audience. You will hardly find any white, certainly, okay, let's leave the white people out. You will hardly find any Indian people, any colored people in that audience. One mass meeting of the ANC to another. What do you think that is telling you? That is why the so-called minorities are so alienated from the ANC. And I can tell you, 2024, they're going to suffer more than they suffered before. They are looking at these things. Ordinary working class people, they want to, because we've got a very racialized society, they want to see their people in the ANC's leadership and stuff like that, Although an argument could be put, that one shouldn't be approaching things, the best people, whoever they are, white sky, whatever it is, should be there. But we have a very racialized mindset because of our history. And so you go to Elders, Kliptown, they'll be looking to see, who's there, who's colored, that's our politics,
Yeah.
But it's not surprised at all that there's just those 3 so-called
I guess maybe not surprised, but maybe a little disappointed, Doc. But let's talk about, some of the names, once again, that we see in this list of 80 people. Some analysts have been saying that it's, although we can say that some of the people in this particular list have clouds hanging over their heads. They look at this list and they say, well, it's good that the president and his top 7 don't have yes people who'll just agree to everything that they say. For instance, your Zwelim Kize, your Lindiwe Sisulu, for instance, will definitely, challenge whatever debate goes on. Your Dekota Legwete, who has always said that Magashule should not be the only one that's suspended because everyone has secrets in the ANC. A lot of them will be able to, in our eyes at least, from what we've seen in the public, challenge whatever debate is brought forward. Do you agree that this is a good thing, at least, besides the fact that some of them have this dark clouds over their heads?
No, but it's part of the strategic rationale. The ANC operates, Masego, like this. Go back as far as you want to. and straddling the factionalist divide. When it comes to the NEC, remember, it's the highest decision-making body of the ANC. So what they always do, and they continue to do it now with this thing, although there was the bitterly fought factionalist competitive rivalry for the presidency between Ramaphosa and Joel Mkhize, when it comes to, they have to be very smart, and they are indeed. So you'll find a number of the people who voted, for example, for the adoption of the parliamentary report into Parliament are there. Okay, Diwe Sisulu is saying she didn't vote. She was busy with texting outside of the... But it's part of the game, Masego, because he has to consider, he doesn't want to have a very tough time, this president. No president wants. So who he puts in and who makes it to the NEC is very important. It will determine the progress or problems and friction that occurs even in Parliament and particularly in the NEC. Yeah. So what Ramaphosa and Betty Mantashe and others have done is to populate the NEC with people from both sides, so that it can't be one-sided. Say that he's and biased in the people who ended up. Yeah. So it's part of the game. This is how the ANC plays it. So I wasn't surprised at all. But it is good. It's good when you've got dissenting voices and you're more likely to find opposition from them in the NEC. It's for democracy, if one can say that, internal democracy within the ANC itself.
Yeah, well, hopefully those debates actually yield some positive results, Dr. Harvey, in terms of a leadership that is able to listen to both sides, even though they know that the other side doesn't necessarily like them. Thank you very much for speaking to us, as usual. Political analyst Dr. Ebrahim Harvey there.